From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening of LALATE with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we'll go over that monthly stimulus check and why there's likely more months of checks as Delta rages on. And then we go over the recon, $3.5 trillion, done, deal. They've agreed upon a price tag and they agreed that they're going to pass it. So how many checks are in there for the American people of so many different subject matters? I'll go over all the enormous sums of money coming to the American people, valued at $3.5 trillion of checks. Then we cut to the voting and what's going on Tuesday, what's going on Wednesday, the bills, the dates, the votes, everything you need to know across the board. Then we cut to the shocking detail as Wall Street crashes today. The 10-year Treasury note dropped. Did that signal that the lift of your benefits this fall is happening or not happening? What does that mean about inflation? Is inflation going down or is it transitory and going up? I'll have all the breaking details on that big raise of your benefits of fifth stimulus later in this video. And then we cut to the big money across the board that viewers continue to get. $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. I'm going to show you how you can get this big money as well. It's a big evening. It's a big night. I'm excited for you and all the incredible details. Let's get to the great news, the breaking news, starting right here, right now on LALATE. Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? Hope you're having a beautiful evening across the board. Hope your night is well. If you noticed in opening credits when the seagulls in the back shot and you saw the surf behind the seagull, that is where I was recording live for you on Sunday night, to give you a perspective of the angle. Hope your evening is going wonderful across the board. How is the weather where you are today? It cooled down here in Southern California. It got hot earlier in the day and then settled down. So I'm excited. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. A lot of breaking news tonight about fourth stimulus. First, we'll go over those monthly stimulus checks and why you're likely to get more months of checks. Then we turn to the $3.5 trillion of the recon. Done, deal. As to the number, this signals $3.5 trillion of checks coming to the American people. I'll go over what some of those checks are for so many different walks of life. And then we turn to the voting, the bills, the dates, everything across the board. There's so much money that is happening in fourth stimulus recon. I'll go over what's going on with the vote as well. And then we cut to fifth stimulus. As the president has promised during the campaign trail to raise your benefits up, well, it's happening. The Congress is taking care of it under fifth stimulus. But what happened with Wall Street today crashing and the 10-year Treasury note going down? Does that mean your benefits are not going up? I'll explain the details. It's all easy breezy. And then we cut to the big money that viewers continue to get, like Nisi with $23,000, John with $12,000, Art Sullivan with 3 items. I'm going to go over how you can get this big money and more. And this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons like right now. And coming up next is Overnight's Crypto on this video. Then evenings, then Sirloin at 8 o'clock, so subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record in 1 year. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video. Every like helps. And consider becoming a member. Let's get into that monthly stimulus check starting right now. The reason why Wall Street crashed today, if you do not know, was because the pandemic's not over. The pandemic's not over. And Wall Street looked at the data of the strain and what's going on with Delta and said, pandemic's not over. House bill about monthly stimulus checks from Jalapal pays pandemic plus 1 year. It was several weeks ago we said, well, they'll just only pay us 1 year maybe because the pandemic may be over. Then 2 weeks ago we said maybe the pandemic's over. Last week we said the pandemic's not over. Today, Wall Street said the pandemic's really not over. Pandemic plus 1 year House bill. Senate proposal July to December. Let's look at the payouts. House bill $1,000 after the first month. Senate amount unknown, but word on the street is it this deliciousness? $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000, or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. What did Wall Street basically say today? That with 50 states of the strain, the variant going through the roof, then by all accounts, that would signal that the pandemic is not over. Wall Street crashing and concerns that the pandemic's not over. And if pandemic's not over, then the House bill would pay more than 12 checks, would pay pandemic plus 1 year. That would be more than 12 checks, which would be more than $13,000. Compare that to this and the Senate. I think you have an opinion. I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate. House or Senate. Tell me where you're tuning in from this beautiful evening and how the weather is. Well, there you go. Things changing by the minute, and trust me, this next 14 days, you're going to see in the final 15 of this video, the next 14 days are going to be very, very tumultuous with changing news across the board. For stimulus, who gets it? Democrats represent that if you're a single individual, $75,000 or less, you're getting it. In fact, they want everyone who got a third stimulus check to get the fourth. Married couple, $150,000 or less, Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check, double it. Family of four, Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, veterans, Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check. The fourth stimulus check is not income. It's not taxable. It will be the same amount for everyone across the board. And the fourth stimulus check is not a waivable check. It comes monthly. Yesterday, on Sunday evening, I was recording live at a special live broadcast at the beach. And one of the viewers said, "Hey, LA, is that the check behind you?" That's what the viewer said in the comments. He said, "Wave at the check." I said, "I'm not going to wave at the check. The check's not waivable." I tried. "Hey, check." And the check didn't wave back at me live on air. So there you go. I'm not joking. That was actually the exchange with the viewer. The Democrats represent you and get a check in the month of July for the month of July and the month of August for the month of August. They can still get that done. But in the second part of this video, we're going to go over the exciting details. $3.5 trillion of checks are for you in the fourth stimulus recon. Done. Deal. The Democrats have agreed that they're passing the recon, and they've agreed the price tag is $3.5 trillion, of which it's all checks for you. Lots of checks. You're getting a lot of checks under this fourth stimulus recon. I'll go over a preview of some of the items of social reform of checks that you're getting. All walks of life are getting their payments. Wow, exciting, great news. Then we cut to the exciting second part of this video, the third part of this video, which is the vote, the dates, everything you need to know about Tuesday and Wednesday across the board. But first, here's a preview of the second half of this video. It's fifth stimulus, which raise your benefits up lifetime based upon a lift and a new benchmark inflation. But the 10-year Treasury note plummeted today on the news of Delta. So does that mean that inflation is not going up later this year? I'll explain all the details for you later in this video. I'll make it very easy breezy. But first, let's get some money. And I'm so excited for you this evening. You have been killing it. You have been getting enormous sums of money for rent, utilities, internet, and Snap. Jump in the live chat and post all their success stories you've posted. If you posted before, post it again as well. For rent, I have been saying that I can get you about $5,000 from the videos of this channel. 4 to 6 months of rent, you've been getting, on average, daily, $12,000 for rent. Viewers are getting $12,000, $15,000 routinely, and viewers like Nisi got $20,000 for rent. Wow. For utilities, I said, hey, I can get you $300 from the videos of this channel. Viewers are getting $3,000 routinely. Countless viewers for utilities. Great job. And then for Snap, I've been saying, well, I had a couple of viewers that got $5,000 to $6,000 from my videos. Now viewers are getting $10,000 to $12,000 like John. And then we have viewers getting multiple items like Art Sullivan getting 3 items. So post your rent, your utilities, your Snap in the live chat right now. This is what I do here. I get people money. Get a pen and paper ready because I'm going to get you some money in tonight's recording. I'm going to get you some rent, some utilities, some homeowners assistance and homeowners utilities. This is what I do. This is not a check tracking channel. In April of 2020, the EIDL loan and EIDL grant was not going out. So there's no check to track. It wasn't going out, but I got it. I got $25 million of EIDL loans to cash. Viewers cashed them. Incredible, because the things were stopped up and we got them approved. Then in fall of 2020, second stimulus was not being passed, so there was no second stimulus check to track, but we got $250,000 of cash to cash. Viewers are getting massive sums of money for rent, like Tyrone, who got $15,000 from his channel, his family of 4 out of Boston at the time. And we're doing it right now. Only difference is you're getting bigger sums of money because you're really good at it. So post in the live chat right now. We're going to reach out to different places for eligibility when we're looking for this money for rent, utilities, homeowners assistance. Each place has different eligibility. If you get a no, reach out to the next. Also, if you think you don't qualify, do not wait to apply. Don't take yourself out of the equation saying, I don't know. Yes, just keep on applying because every place has different eligibility. Are you ready? Here you go. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, your state housing authority. Keywords you're going to say. Viewers say to me these keywords are what's making their applications easy breezy getting approved. Are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage assistance because of COVID, or homeowners utilities because of COVID. Gotta say those key words. Don't say words they don't know, like stimulus, or Mitch's wonderful appearance second week on Star Search. What, the first week was not wonderful? I don't know. They don't know that. I don't know that. I don't want to know that. And there you go. Congratulations to Tim and Linda, who got this wonderful bottle of money for rent. If you got on rent as well, post in the live chat. If you got utilities as well, post in the live chat. Let's turn this to some Snap. Snap is a fortune. It is money for food. It comes from the Department of Agriculture. How do you get it? You reach out to Department of Agriculture. What does it pay? It pays for food. It pays a lot. How much? A fortune. A family of four in Boston gets now upwards of $16,000 a year for Snap. Why so much money? Because of two wonderful executive orders. One from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. Gail got Snap for herself, her son, and her Gail got Snap for herself. Lynn Glenn got Snap for herself, her son, and her mom. And John got $12,000. If you got in Snap, post in the live chat as well. These monies, you're just killing it. 11 minutes of this video, we've got $15,000, $16,000 for Snap for a family of four in Hawaii, $5,000 for rent, but I got more money for you right now. It is the money coming back from your states. The states have been ordered to return money back to you due to overpayment and computer error. So there you go. One viewer got $3,000, another got $5,000. Where is it going to land? Direct deposit. Can you track it? Yeah, reach out to your state and say, hey, state, where's that overpayment due to computer error? And can you track it with a computer that actually works this time? And the last wonderful pot of money is the refund check from IRS. Margaret has gotten it, Cog got it, Michael got it. It's important for you to post in the live chat the monies you got. Why? For three reasons. One, it inspires other people who never got anything to get it. They see so many people getting it, then they realize, oh, I'm going to go get this. Number two, it inspires someone that may have gotten one item to get multiple items. They see Art Sullivan and Nisi getting several items, and they say, I'm going to get several items. And then finally, it updates all of us about the numbers. People see the numbers like, oh, really? That much? I'm really going to get the numbers. And I get updated about those numbers as well. Now, we have breaking news about that IRS refund check from IRS. They said the latest refund went out just a few days ago. The average refund is $1,265. Wow, that's wonderful. Direct deposit started July 14th. Paper checks went out on July 16th. More refunds will come weekly throughout the summer. There we go. So how much, where, and when? Let's go over the details. First, let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment benefits. You pay $5,000 of total taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit. When? In the month of July. Can you track it? Yeah, do an IRS GOV search, transcript search. 70% of the time it works. It reveals stuff you never knew. It reveals some stuff you didn't know. It'll reveal the taxes in your file, the taxes you paid. It'll reveal some stuff you wish you never saw. It'll reveal some stuff you hope no one else sees. It'll reveal, when Mitch performed on Star Search, did he wear lavender or did he wear paisley? And was it bell bottoms? And then it'll reveal the refund check you're getting. There you go. Can we top that? We can, as we go into the second part of your fourth stimulus check updated 2021 starting right now. Deal. We have an agreement. We have an agreement as the fourth stimulus recon will be passed by the Democrats. Wonderful news. It will have a $3.5 trillion price tag. Wonderful news. All they have to vote on is the provisions of it. This is huge because the $3.5 trillion of recon has just $3.5 trillion of checks of all sorts in there. Checks and more checks. You're getting checks, as I had always said. $3.5 trillion of it. How do we get to this wonderful spot? By taking roads and bridges out of the recon and shrinking it weeks and weeks ago, because it was not passable when I had those stimulus checks, when I had those infrastructure roads and bridges in there. When Chuck and Nancy said they're going to call a vote by July 4th, they were talking about it when it had roads and bridges in there. And at that time, they asked their Democratic leaders, do you like the recon with the roads and bridges in there? No, I won't vote in favor of it. Once they took the roads and bridges out, it became passable. And we had that confirmation from a conservative op-ed before the agreement of the 3.5 just a few days ago. The op-ed confirms American reporting. The higher the price tag was on the recon before, the harder it was to pass. There you go. Confirmation. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the recon and put it into the bipartisan roads and bridges, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller, obviously. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. Sorry, Mitch. Sorry to set you up. But ironically, what's strange is that Mitch is happy with the situation. What's going on? Well, Here's what's happened is that the Republicans adore the bipartisan. They love the roads and bridges. They love the infrastructure. And they say they're getting to the finish line. Well, here we go. Once they shrunk that, then those progressives were able to add certain other things in there, and it got to that $3.5 trillion price tag, which they agreed to. Bernie Sanders called this $3.5 trillion price tag an historic achievement. He blessed it and said it was a big day for the American people and their pocketbooks. So Representative Ilhan Omar said that they have to give us a recon that goes as far as we want it, and Omar got what she wanted, $3.5 trillion. And Representative Richie Torres said you have to have a larger recon. He got it, $3.5 trillion. And the progressives have been meeting daily to ensure they got a big recon. They got it, $3.5 trillion. They were protecting the recon for weeks. We didn't know why, because they wanted that big price tag, $3.5 trillion. Brian Schatz, Democrat, progressive, said that the White House considers the progressive priorities in the recon its own progressive priorities and to protect it with Jollapal. And they protected it. And away we go. We got an agreement, $3.5 trillion. Now, let's go over recon so you understand what this $3.5 trillion recon price tag and agreement means for you. First, what is a recon? A reconciliation is a bill. It actually is two bills, reconciliation procedure and reconciliation substantive. I'm just going over the substantive in this video. In that reconciliation, there's a lot of checks. That's all there is, just checks and more checks, $3.5 trillion of them for you. The way you pass a recon is you first get an agreement on the price tag. That price tag is now done. They've also agreed to pass it. That's also done. So the only thing left is writing up the final words. Who writes the recon? It's written by Democrats for Democrats to be passed by Democrats. Who actually writes it up? House subcommittees. Under the Constitution, they're separated based on topic. Each subcommittee has a different topic they're supposed to write upon. House Ways and Means is responsible for stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. So there you go. They're the lead authors, but the Senate subcommittees help them as well. When they're finished, they, let's say, have 10 pages. The other subcommittees are doing other things. Let's say they have 10 pages or combined. Let's say it's 10 subcommittees and 10 pages. That's 100 pages total. They set it up to Chuck. He puts an S on it. And that's your Senate bill for recon. When you see it, you see it. But until then, you don't see it. Under the Constitution, there's no requirement that the subcommittees show you what they're writing. There's no requirement that they show you what they're voting for, including, not to including, taking out, voting against, or anything. There's no requirement they do. They can voluntarily show you, but there's no requirement they show you. It's sort of like a pop singer who has a new album coming out. She does not have to show you the tracks ahead of time. In fact, she doesn't want to show you the tracks ahead of time. She wants it sort of a big debut. And that's something mainstream media and I agree upon with this. We have not seen the recon because they haven't shown us the recon. Very simple. Very, very simple. But along the way, there'll be someone that jumps in the comments or with a negative and uninformed comment that says something like, I haven't heard of this in the recon. Well, guess what? You haven't seen the recon. None of us have seen the recon. That's why I haven't heard it. So yeah, there you go. How did we get to this wonderful spot? We got to this wonderful spot from Jollapal, who had written a letter to Schumer saying, call the vote, Chuck, on the recon. That letter was co-signed by 12 House Democrats, who are among 100 plus, who had said, we're going to put monthly for stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package. Wow, can we top that? We can, as 7 members of the House Ways and Means Committee had written the president a letter saying, Mr. President, we're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus recon. OMG. Now that is wonderful news. Are those that? Yeah, those are the same people we just spoke about before. They're writing the recon. They say they're putting monthly stimulus checks in there, and we have to hold them to their promise. They said they also gave us third stimulus checks earlier this year by recon, and they say they're giving us a fifth stimulus recon check as well. More about that later. Wow, can we top that? We can. As the president has done it, he got formally signed his international corporate tax rate minimum global thing. 4 weeks ago, the president went overseas to have a ceremonial signature, but that signature is now formal as a few days ago. What was the signature for? A tongue twister. The global minimum corporate tax rate minimum. That's it. Oh, why is this great news for the recon? No joke. This is why it's great news for the recon. Because they don't have to write about this confusing thing that I can't even say. They don't have to write about it in the recon. They don't have to call it when they call for a vote. They don't have to have it in the recon. It makes it easier to call it for a vote, easier to vote on, easier to pass it. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the final 15 of your fourth stimulus recon tonight, where I show you some of the items that you're getting $3.5 trillion of checks for. It's very exciting details. We're going to go over what that vote is for Tuesday, what the vote is not, what you need to know, and what's going on Wednesday. We're going to go over everything you need to know of the final 14 days in these final 15 minutes of this video. Final 15 and final 14, a lot coming up. And then we cut to fifth stimulus as the 10-year Treasury note crashed today. Lowest interest rates in weeks, months. Does that mean our benefits are not going to raise up that much under fifth stimulus? I'll explain the details. It's not as confusing as you think, as I explain it. But something more wonderful, the volunteers. If you have not been able to find that rent, utilities, and internet, and you try to find it yourself, don't worry. I got your back. The volunteers have your back. Go to the description of this video. Open the description. You'll see an emoji of a house. And next to the emoji of a house is a link to the community page. It's news.la.com/community. On the community page, the volunteers are separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Reach out to them, and they'll help you get that big money. And I will be back with you in 60 seconds with a huge final 15 about this final 14 of your fourth stimulus and exciting details about fifth stimulus. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues on Evenings LA with the huge final 15 about the final 14 of your fourth stimulus and the exciting details about this stimulus in view of the stock market and bond market crashing today. I'll have all the details coming up for a second for you. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Fastest growing crypto channel on the globe in 1 year. 400,000. Next stop, 1 million. I want you part of this family. Hit the subscribe button right now. Like the video. 3,000 likes. Every like helps. And consider becoming a member. More about that membership and the links under the video where it says join here. Let's get right into the exciting details. Stall also, don't forget to stay here. This video will automatically take you into overnight's crypto playing right after this video is over. And then coming up tonight is Sirloin at 8 o'clock. So fifth stimulus heats up this fall with the senators and the House members giving you what the president had promised. During his run for the presidency, the president had promised SSI reform, but he didn't deliver it. And so with that SSI reform, the congressional leaders are putting it in fifth stimulus this fall. And what is it? It's raising your benefit limits up, removing the asset limits, adding an inflationary benchmark, removing the income cap, and removing the marriage penalty. Let's go over how this calculates and what the breaking news is about this based upon the stock market and bond market crashing today. First, whose benefits are raised up? Yours. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple beneficiaries will have their benefits raised up one big time under fifth stimulus. This is something that would go to a drafting in September, out for a vote about October, November. Then, after that, they apply the first new benchmark in December. That benchmark is for next year's benefits. What would be the new benchmark? Inflation. Jay Powell, your head of Federal Reserve, testified on Capitol Hill last week and said the same thing he said the month before, that inflation will be going up, reaching a peak in December. Transitory, otherwise called temporary, until it comes back down. So, we all see that rate hitting the highest point when they apply your benefits. Wonderful news. But wait a second. The 10-year Treasury note plummeted today. Interest rates falling dramatically. So does that mean that the peak will not happen in December? In my opinion, no. Interest rates are different than inflation. Interest rates are different than inflation because they gauge different elements. Interest rates, or at least in the 10-year Treasury note, we're talking about the growth of the U.S. economy. How robust is the economy? How strong is the economy? When we're talking about inflation, we're talking about how much price of goods cost. So the economy may be relatively flat or boring, but milk could still be going up in price. So they're two very different benchmarks. So with that, I'm sticking with Jay Powell, going up to its highest point in December. Then that inflation rate will be applied. How high? Well, Wall Street all last week was saying my number, 5%. I'm sticking with that as well. So your benefits will be raised up one big time and then an additional 5%. But not just next year, lifetime. Because once your benefits step up, they never step down. If the inflation rate the year after that is 2%, you'll be a +2, +5%. Then they're going to move the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. Time to have a stimulus check and also some tacos. They're going to move the asset cap dating back to the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. No longer fear loss of benefits and get your benefits restored. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married and no longer fear the marriage penalty. And there you go. The fifth stimulus will have another stimulus check. Those House Ways and Means subcommittee members represent. It would not overlap with fourth. The president's dedicated $1 billion to Social Security Administration. Ensure your checks go out on time. And finally, if you're missing a first, second, or third stimulus check, you must do two things. Must file a tax return and request it on the tax return. Finally, if you're in the chat and notice all the people with that emoji of a purple hawk, and you're wondering, how do I get that? And how are they able to get all these big sums of money? Consider becoming a member, because as a member, they are delivered to me as a Purple Hawk, a breakdown of all the big money in third stimulus. When second stimulus passed and it was a $600 stimulus check, I said, yeah, there's a $600 stimulus check, but I'll get you $6,000. I got viewers $15,000 like Tyrone for his family of four out of Boston. When third stimulus passed and it was a $14 stimulus check, I said, yeah, I'll get you $14,000. I got Nisi, $23,000. Now viewers are understanding the power of the purple because there's a lot of money for you under third stimulus. And so daily I deliver from you, from the YouTube community page, a breakdown of all the big money for you to get. And there you go. Consider becoming a member. Which brings us to the final 15 of your 15 minutes of this video of the final 14 days of your fourth stimulus check of 2021. I call it final because by all accounts it looks like we're in the final 14. It may not be the final 14, but it looks like it's getting too close to the finish line. I'm going to go over the recon, I'm going to go over the bipartisan, and then I'll go back to the recon. First, the recon. Deal. Price tag to $3.5 trillion. Deal. It will be passed. So the Senate Democrats met just a few days ago and agreed that they're passing the recon when it goes to a vote, and it'll have a $3.5 trillion price tag. Two wonderful achievements in this. Number one, the fact that they have an agreement. Senator Tim Kaine says that when you agree upon the price tag, everything just becomes simple. First thing you always have to do on the recon is agree upon the price tag, and then you just slot the numbers in. Number two, the price tag is absolutely insanely wonderful. Bernie Sanders went into the meetings and asked for $7 trillion. And he walked out ecstatic. He got $3.5 trillion, which is exactly half. He said, I'm doing the same thing I'm doing with $7 trillion in just less years, probably half the number of years. He said, this is a historic day for the American people because there's just going to be a lot of money for a lot of people. Understand, this is $3.5 trillion of checks. Just checks, and more checks for the American people. You're getting checks. It's confirmed. Now, this is in addition to the stimulus checks. These are just lots and lots of different checks, lots of variations. But as you saw earlier in this video, we're not going to see what the checks are until they call it for a vote. More about that in a second. But in a strange twist, I have a spoiler. I have some of the items of checks. How did I get this list? It's important to know where the list came from. It came from a conservative publication that wanted to run a negative piece about the recon, saying, they're spending all this money on stuff they shouldn't be spending on. So this is not all the items. This is not all the items. And more importantly, they just want to use these items as sort of exemplary of what they thought was bad in there. These are wonderful items. So here you go. Checks for free school meals for all. Wow. Checks for tax breaks. Checks for cheaper prescription medication. Yes. Checks for immigration reform. Yes. Checks for cleaner farming. Checks for elections. Checks for free internet. Wow. They're going to dedicate fortunes to local cities so they can have their own internet companies for free for you. Checks for clean energy, and then lots of checks for seniors and workers. Checks for independent contractors, checks for workers, checks for unions, checks for collective bargaining, checks for seniors, checks for expansion of Medicare, and checks for eligibility, and checks for dental, checks for vision, and checks for hearing care. Wow. Oops, I just knocked something out of that. So there you go. Exciting. That's recon. Let's cut over to bipartisan. Deal. Those Republicans claim that they're basically done with the deal provisions. They said that by Thursday they're going to get the deal provisions done for the roads and bridges, the bipartisan infrastructure. They worked over the weekend on them as well. They also said something really fascinating, that they think the vote on the bipartisan infrastructure roads and bridges bill will be this week. Really? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I always try to stay positive, but this one, mainstream media says it's really stretching it to get it done this week. I mean, they could, but it's more likely next week. But there's a positive out of this, a big positive. Though recon has to go for a vote before the bipartisan, remember? So if the bipartisan is next week, they can do the recon this week. Wow, there we go. Now the recon could go for a vote this week and could go for a vote next week. But now you see what I'm talking about, the final 15 of this final 14. It's getting really tight in here. Incredible, great news. 12 voting steps. Doesn't take 12 days. Let's go over the 12 voting steps. So we got 3 bills with 4 steps. The 3 bills are the recon procedural, recon substantive, and the bipartisan. Step 1, Senate subcommittee. Then step 2, Senate floor, House, and then President signs. There you go. Now, what's Chuck doing on Tuesday? On Tuesday, Chuck will be calling a vote. This is where knowledge is king. If you're with this channel in April of last year, and I was trying to solve and did solve all these EIDL loans and EIDL grant problems. There were all these sort of nuanced things I had to do. Oh, the routing number was wrong, and you have to modify this to modify that. That's how information works, especially on YouTube. Information is king. Here's where information is king, because Tuesday's vote is a complicated issue. If you don't hear it right, you can get really confused. But you're not going to get confused because you love information. What is Chuck calling a vote on for Tuesday? On Tuesday, Chuck is calling a vote for the end of discussion and negotiations shortly thereafter on the bipartisan infrastructure, roads, and bridges. Let's go over that again. He's ending discussion and negotiations. He's not calling a vote on the bill. He's just calling a vote for the end of discussion and negotiations. On what? The bipartisan. When? That day? No, he's not going to end the discussions that day, just shortly thereafter. Okay, so he's just calling a vote to end talking about it after a few days. Pretty easy. Yeah, it is pretty easy. Now, it's important for you to know the information, and now you do. But along the way, there's going to be some people that jump in the chats and jump in the comments who simply don't want to know or be informed about things. And for some strange reason, they always have an attitude that they think they know something we've never heard of. Is that amazing? And they absolutely know nothing. So this is what I want you to be prepared for Tuesday, even Wednesday. There are going to be people who are going to jump in the comments who says, on Tuesday, I heard that Chuck is calling a vote on the infrastructure bill on Tuesday. No, sir, they're not calling a vote on the bill on Tuesday. They're calling a vote to end discussion about infrastructure on Tuesday. Oh. And then there's going to be some people say, oh, it didn't pass, so you're not getting stimulus check. No, it's end discussions about the, what are you talking about? Now, here's what you need to know. It's not going to pass. It really will not pass. It has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with us. Why did Chuck do this? To ramp it up, to get them moving, get them, yeah, I almost said that word. Get them moving. And it worked. These individuals worked on the bipartisan over the weekend. So it's not going to pass. But the fact that it doesn't pass has nothing to do with us. Then you're also going to hear people say, I heard that Chuck called a vote on the recon on Tuesday. He did not call for a recon. And it didn't pass. We're not getting anything. No, he didn't do that. There was no vote on the recon. I heard Chuck call a vote on a bill, and there was no stimulus checks in there. See, there was no stimulus checks in there. I knew what I was talking about. No, he did not call a vote on the on a bill. He did not call a vote on stimulus. He did not call a vote on anything with stimulus checks in there. It's not that. You're just not listening, are you? So that's what you should anticipate for Tuesday. Remember, on Tuesday, he's only calling a vote on one thing: to end discussion and negotiations on the bipartisan infrastructure in a few days shortly thereafter. And there you go. On Wednesday, Chuck Schumer will be talking about the recon. And I fully expect the same people who don't want to know anything and just seem to have an opinion about everything will say, I heard Chuck call a vote on the recon on Wednesday. He's not calling a vote on Wednesday. So there you go. Next, it's important to know that the final 14 days are always very critical, if these are the final 14 days. If you were with me in 2020, in fall of 2020, things move very quickly at the very end, and they literally go up and down and over and around. So I want you to be prepared for them. The way you get prepared for them is pushing. Purple Power Push means literally pushing. You're not here asking questions. You're actually telling people what to do. That's what Purple Power Push is. Get the infrastructure bill written, Senator. That's Purple Power Push. Not Purple Power Push. When are they voting on the infrastructure bill? No, that's Donut Guy language. Donut Guy's always asking questions about when. When? No, we don't just sit around. We push. We say, get it done. That's Purple Power Push. But here's what you need to know, is that those final few days, things are going to get really crazy and things are going to change by the hour. In April of 2020, Nancy Pelosi debuted the HEROES Act. This monstrosity that was supposed to be the second stimulus. It got nowhere. And months went on, it still got nowhere. And then December, it still got nowhere. And I sat back and I said, hey, you got to do this congressional budget bill to run the federal government. Why not put a stimulus check in there? People came back and said, because it's for the federal government, it's not for the American people. And I said, I don't care, put it in there. I don't care if it doesn't fit in there, put it in there. And you started pushing hashtag CR for stimulus. We changed American history by suddenly having that trend and congressional leaders noticing what we're doing and suddenly said, yeah, we'll put some stimulus in there. Of course, they took credit for it. And then they said, oh, here's some stimulus, some unemployment stimulus. We said, no, that's not what we meant. We meant stimulus check. What are you doing? So we had to push back. It took about a couple of days, about 5 days, 7 days. And then finally one day we woke up, they said, yes, there's a stimulus check in there. Guess what happened in that same day? We started the day with a check in there. Then it was out. Then it was reduced. Then it was enlarged. And then the eligibility was changed. Then it was changed back. It was just all over the place. And then there was always that one person. Well, Joe Manchin's going to stop you for it. There was always that person I had a comment about. And sometimes it did seem like Joe Manchin's going to, but he didn't, of course. And then when we're just to the edge of the finish line, Toomey came around. Senator Toomey. He said, I'm going to blow up the whole thing. I'm not going to prove anything, and you're all going to go home, and I don't like what's going on. Mitt Romney came in and settled Toomey down. But for a few hours, if you were watching me record live on the beach on Sunday, that's where I was in December of 2020 when I heard the news that Toomey was blowing up our CR for stimulus. I thought it was going to fall apart, but I stayed positive, and Mitt Romney out of nowhere really pushed and got it over the finish line, and it was done. Here's what's going to happen here as well. You're going to see the recon at some point. It will be debuted on the Senate side. Understand, it could still get modified. If you see the recon, you like it, you don't like it, don't worry, because things can still get modified. People have been asking me about, what about the vote-a-rama? Do they have to do it? I don't know. I know if we start on the Senate and we started on the House and we went to the Senate, you absolutely have a vote-a-rama. But starting on the Senate side, I think you still do have a vote-a-rama. I don't know if it comes at the beginning or the end. I think it comes at the end. And that's the opportunity to change things again. They can also change things on the floor. So understand if something's in there or wrong or too high or too low, they can still modify it. Ultimately, you need to push. Across the land, there is a big push. And here's a personal final message. Ultimately, this channel is about family. It's about people helping one another. It's about everyone getting over the finish line. You've already achieved the achievement. You already have gotten yourself $3.5 trillion of checks under the recon. It's done. That part is done. You will be seeing $3.5 trillion of checks coming to you under the fourth stimulus recon. I expect most of them will be application-based. Most of them will be application-based, like third stimulus. So for every viewer who's gotten $5, $10, $15, $20,000, you will see massive sums of money like that in the fourth stimulus recon as well. Bernie Sanders confirms it. I mean, that's not a dispute. But understand, along the way, we have to keep on pushing. As WR once did 2 weeks ago, a viewer of this channel picked up the phone and called Senator Chris Coons' office. Did not call up asking when. Rather said, do it. in a very respectful way, said, we need monthly stimulus checks, spoke to his secretary, and the secretary said, yes, we're putting them in there. Push Purple Power, because that's what we got to do, down to the finish line. And with that, I really encourage you to stay positive and also hit the subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. 400,000 subscribers, YouTube record. Next stop, 1 million. Like the video, 3,000 likes. Every like helps. And consider becoming a member so you get access to all this big money under third stimulus. Stay on this video, will automatically take you into Overnight to LA, currently playing live on the channel. And coming up next, after that, is Sirloin at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, brought back for the Chaster and his father. Want to know more about their story? Watch Mornings LA today, more about what happened when the real Chaster's father watched Sirloin just days ago. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.